Let's start with our topic today for AWS, and that is EC2 Auto Scaling. But there is this message for those who are not able to submit the screenshots at the end of the class, and they have some genuine reason, and they have emailed me, and then I replied to them, and then when they're doing the labs, like themselves and not following the class but the video, so please do not keep any machines running, do not keep any storage running, because that's going to be really, it's going to cost the college, and also it will cost that person the marks as well. So please do not keep any of those resources running. Just delete it right after you are done with the lab and taken screenshots. Just delete the resources, right? There's a very good auditing system in AWS, so we can know easily that who did what. So excuse me. Okay guys, let's get going with the topic here, which is EC2 auto scaling. And auto scaling is a very interesting topic, and let's just first talk about it, and then I'll explain that in detail as well. So the definition and some of the features of what is AWS EC2. Basically it's AWS EC2 Auto Scaling. Excuse me. So AWS EC2 Auto Scaling monitors your applications and automatically adjusts capacity to maintain steady, predictable performance at the lowest possible cost. Using AWS Auto Scaling, it's easy to set up application scaling for multiple resources across multiple services in minutes. So the main thing here is the scalability of the resources, and auto scaling does it best. So the service provides a simple, powerful user interface that lets you build scaling plans for resources including Amazon EC2 instances and Spot fleets, Amazon ECS tasks, Amazon DynamoDB tables and indexes, and Amazon Aurora replicas. Main thing is about auto scaling is that you can the machines could be created automatically in multiples, in great numbers, and it can keep on scaling according to the requirement. Maybe there's a lot of traffic coming and you need more machines, so it creates more machines. That's AWS Auto Scaling makes scaling simple with recommendations that allow you to optimize performance, costs, or balance between them. If you're already using Amazon EC2 Auto Scaling to dynamically scale, that's the main word here. Words: dynamically scale your Amazon EC2 instances. You can now combine it with AWS Auto Scaling to scale additional resources for other services as well. Well, I'm going to explain that with the diagram. With our AWS Auto Scaling, your applications always have the right resources at the right time. Now, what's with this AWS Auto Scaling? How does it really work? So if we, I'll just grab that diagram. Hopefully I copied it seriously. Okay. Sometimes OneNote is not very nice to save custom diagrams. Alright, okay, we'll create that again. Okay, so now what is AWS Auto Scaling? And let's talk about a scenario there. AWS Auto Scaling. EC2, well, that's EC2 Auto Scaling. And excuse me. So suppose there's a scenario that there's a Boxing Day, and it's a Boxing Day, or it's Black Friday there, and there's a lot of sales that are expected. Suppose it's Best Buy .ca or Canada Computers or any other, Walmart and all others. So they are expecting. So suppose this is BestBuy.ca's virtual machine here that has a web server installed, and that web server has web pages obviously, and those web pages have product one, so product one, product two, product three, product four, right? So that's a long list of products they have, and the customers will be coming there, and they will be trying to do the shopping. So what they're expecting, it's a big shop, it's a big they have a long range of products there. So they're anticipating thousands and thousands and thousands of users. So suppose they have just one web server, suppose, and that has the web pages, and that has a website hosting going on there, and that website has web pages and product line are lined up there. So the users start connecting at midnight Boxing Day, right? When they connect, they keep on connecting, and there are hundreds of users and there are thousands of users. There are thousands of users. Now obviously what will happen is that the resources will be consumed. So there's CPU, there is RAM. Now when they are clicking, there are so many other users, so CPU will start going up 50%, and then it will start going up 75%. It may start going up to 95%, and after that what happens, obviously the machine by 95% if it risen, so machine is already giving bad performance here, and when it rises up to 100%, it's gonna freeze, and all the users won't be able to click anything, and it will just simply the users will be disconnected, users will go away, and you got no shopping going on, no product sale going on, right? So that is what we need to avoid. As soon as the users start increase in number, we need to have more machines, or maybe we anticipated thousands of users, so we would have created many more machines there. So what happens is that with AWS EC2 Auto Scaling, that you can actually scale out, right? And with scale out, what happens is that we can put a threshold for CPU, and there are many other thresholds, but for CPU you select, and if this threshold is breached, then another machine, another copy of this VM will be created. So if you just put us when we are configuring the AWS EC2 Auto Scaling, so it will simply ask you that, hey, what kind of threshold you want to put for CPU or for bandwidth. If you want to put a threshold, yes, you can do that too, but that's going to be the threshold that will oh, I forgot to open actually the yikes. I'm dragging it on the other side. Okay, so this threshold is supposed to be placed. Now suppose you put 75% of the threshold VM rate. So suppose we put 75% CPU as a threshold, right? Once the internet traffic starts increasing and the CPU threshold is breached, right? Then another machine, another VM will be automatically created, right? Now we can also put a limit to how many new VMs. We can say VMs, and we can also say clones. How many new clones can be created, right? So this means that suppose you were you've put a 75% threshold here, and a new machine got created, then a new machine got created. So what happens is that as soon as the threshold is breached, whatever you put there, a new machine gets created, right? And when the new machine gets created, it can wait for 300 seconds for the machine to just start, and then it will simply redirect some of the traffic or distribute the traffic among the two machines, right? And then if the traffic is still too much that both machines CPU threshold actually breached, then a third machine will be created. And if and the traffic will be distributed among three machines now. But since the traffic is too much, and it will keep on increasing and increasing and increasing, right? So the benefit here is that you don't lose any customers. You maybe anticipated that there may be 20,000 customers we are expecting, but actually it came up to there were 80,000 customers or 100,000 customers that visited your site and checked your product line there. So these were much more than your anticipation. So in that case, you will not lose any of the customers because the machines will get created, and one machine can easily take like 2,000 customers, right? So this is very good for the business, that you don't lose any customers because of degradation of performance. But at the same time, now obviously the machines, they are using underlying hardware, right? So suppose you created the first template machine out of which all the clone machines will be created as soon as the CPU threshold is breached. So suppose you created a machine with CPU that is 2.6 gigahertz times two processors, vCPUs, that is, it's virtual, right? So vCPU, and RAM is you decided to put 32 GB for all machines, and then SSD disk is 1 terabyte SSD disk, or maybe 500 GB you decided to put. Now you have decided this hardware for the template machine. Now I haven't mentioned that before, but you have to create a template machine, and the clones will be an exact copy of that template machine. We're going to do all that, and you're going to see that. But there is this underlying hardware being used, which means as soon as another machine is created, obviously you're going to be built for this much CPU, RAM, and SSD that is being used for all the machines, because they will also have the same hardware configuration, virtual hardware configuration. So suppose you did get 80,000 customers and whatever sales you made, but definitely you will be charged for whatever machines that got created in the process. So you can put a limit. Suppose it's a big company, suppose it's Best Buy, it's a big company, right? So maybe they said that, okay, I can put a limit, please do not create more than 200 machines. Suppose they put a limit to that, or 2,000 machines, or 5,000 machines. But you can put a limit to your machines as well, that okay, auto scaling, you can create automatically the machines, but do not create more than this much amount of machines, right? So you can do that too. Now scale out, we can also put a limit to how many new VMs clones can be created, and this is not going to really then put a dent in your budget, in your pocket, when you have defined. So obviously you have to anticipate that how many customers are you really expecting And suppose you actually put there that please do not create more than 20 virtual machines, but the customers were so many that even the 20 virtual machines are all breaching that threshold of 75%. So the good thing is that you can just go inside the auto scaling and you can just change that number. Oh, I first I put 20% or 20 machines total to be automatically created, but now I would want it to be increased to 40 or 50 or 80 machines, up to you. The way you're seeing the traffic, you can always change that configuration while more customers are joining in and coming. So you can always increase, and it's not like whatever you decided at the start, this is it, you're stuck with it now. But you can increase anytime you want. So yes, the thing is that it's not going to be putting any pressure on your budget if you have a lot of machines created, because there is a lot of traffic because of that. And then there is another very cool feature, and that is called scale in. So obviously scale in is the opposite of scale out, and that feature so scale in. Okay, so now it says can we also set a threshold for clones separately? That's a good question, but no, because suppose you try to define that, okay, it's a big company and it would go up to 200 clones. Now these are 200 clones, and trying to set this threshold for even fewer clones would be very it's going to be very time consuming. So it's just once you put a threshold, or in one place you put a threshold, you can change it anytime you want, but not for each, or separately you cannot put it. But you can create another auto scaling policy, and it would start creating you can just put a separate threshold, but not to each clone. So, and then there's a scale in, and that scale in, so that scale in is also really cool. Now we can also put a threshold for a CPU if there are less or no internet traffic or network traffic at all, and the CPU has gone below whatever the low range, like below 25%. So you can put a threshold there as well, that if so we can also put a threshold for CPU if there are less or no internet traffic at all, and then CPU has gone below certain limit of, for example, 25%, certain number, i.e. 25%, right? So then it, which is AWS Auto Scaling, can start deleting your machines automatically as well. So this means that obviously if the scale in threshold is breached, like you put a threshold that if the CPU goes below 25%, then this means definitely there is no traffic, no one's connected there, so just delete this machine. You can just put that scale even further below, like 20% or 15%, and when the CPU is not being used, this means that the traffic is less, so please delete my machine auto scaling, AWS auto scaling. And obviously this means that suppose you did not configure scale in, and the machine, you ended up creating 200 machines there. So midnight, Boxing Day midnight, the traffic was huge up till from 12 a.m. till 4 a.m. The traffic was huge, and all of a sudden after that it started decreasing, and by 10 a.m. There was 25% of the users were only there. So you end up with 200 machines there. Now if the scaling policy is not there, you are paying per hour certain cents per hour for each machine, all 200 machines, right? But if scaling policy is there and you put a scaling threshold as well, so those, even that, if the machines are not being used, why should you pay, right? So then it will start deleting your machines as well, one by one, if the threshold on scaling is also breached, and until it is down to, suppose there were 200 machines and users started getting off, and they're not there, so you started deleting the machines until it reached that level where you have just maybe 10 machines left, and those 10 machines have CPU just reaching 60% only. This means there are very less users, right? So in that case, all your other machines out of 200 machines are gone and deleted, so you don't get to pay for anything because you don't have customers, and that is all automated. So this is a very, very cool feature that scale in can also work, and whatever you're not using, why should you pay for that? So it will simply let you it will simply save your money when there is no business, and it will increase again. Suppose at 10 a.m. the clients were less, but at 2 p.m. At once the users started getting, because it's a Boxing Day weekend, suppose, so users started getting back again. So your auto scaling will keep on monitoring the traffic, and if CPU is breached again on scale out, then you will start seeing more machines available there. So there is still another option that you can choose, that please do not, suppose you say that I don't want scaling, right? Now big companies with big budgets, maybe they don't care that, okay, I'm being charged like certain cents per hour, so that's no big deal, but I don't want it to lose any customer. What does that mean? Aren't we not losing any customer already? Well, the thing is that as soon as the 75%, suppose it is breached and another machine is created, so that machine does take at least you can give 300 seconds for it to properly get created and started. It takes time to get created and start. 300 seconds is not much, right? Few minutes. But there's this survey there out this is way old survey, that if there's a few seconds of delay in the loading of the web page, it translates to loss of few 10 or 20 users. For every second of delay, there are certain amount of users that are lost regularly for any site. So suppose you're waiting for a site to open, and all of a sudden you then say, okay, man, it's not loading. Okay, let me just go to the site. Oh, what a product. And you just go for the purchase without even coming back. So a few seconds of delay, they have noticed in many sites, have cost them a few certain amount of users there. So, and that translates to thousands of dollars when it comes to that kind of number. So that's why your website has to be fast, really fast, and you can't afford to lose or have that website be slow for even few seconds when there is a huge competition going on. The same product is being sold by 5 or 6 other very good sites as well, with very good prices. So there's a competition. Your page does not load, you lost a lot of customers already. Okay, does not load fast enough, that means. So that's, we're talking about few 100 seconds here, right? So what I was saying, that if you say that no, I don't want to scale in, this means that if the customers were less on the midnight of Boxing Day, like okay, from 12 a.m. till 2 a.m. the customers were a lot, and then it started going less and less. So there were like 50,000 customers by 2 a.m. and by 6 or 7 a.m. there were like 10,000 customers. It went down to 10,000 customers right now on your site. But if you decided not to delete the machines, whatever machines got created for the 50,000 users, uh, you keep those machines there. They don't delete, right? So what happens is that if your customers started coming back again at 10 a.m. And by 11 or 12 a.m. again there was at least 60 or 70,000 customers back, but your machines were on, so the sites opened real fast. Instead of the machine getting created and waiting for 300 seconds to turn on, and they're waiting, and they're still seeing that degraded performance until the machine gets created. So even some companies don't go don't want to actually have this kind of delay as well. Although that's not a big delay, but yes, it's kind of a delay where you may lose some customers' interest on your web page. It's not significant, but still, when it's competition, it's Boxing Day and it's a season, so websites, then you may not want to go for scaling even. Don't delete my machines and keep it for for this weekend, and whatever customers come, it's just fast site that is opening, right? So we get to see that there's a scale out there, and then there's a scale in as well. But the main thing is that the companies do not lose their business, companies do not lose their internet traffic, and whichever customer came there stayed there because of good speed, and the products are loading, product pages are loading fast. So that's what EC2 auto scaling is all about. In Microsoft Azure, this same feature is called scale set, and this is called auto scaling here in AWS. So AWS's biggest competitor is Microsoft Azure, which is exactly, all the concepts are same but different names. So if we go back here, now my suggestion would be definitely to go for these certifications before you hit the market for job hunting. You should do the certifications of AWS Solutions Architect Associate and the Azure Administrator, Microsoft Azure. There are so many jobs for that, and Office 365 certifications as well, and VMware certifications. If you need access to all the material, let me know. Before you go to job hunting, you should be done with all those certifications as well. Okay, so here we've talked about auto scaling, and now excuse me, so we need to do some lab here. Before that, there's also one more thing that or one more service that is useful when we are going for auto scaling, and that is the EC2. So it's a VM template, or template VM template service in EC2, right? EC2 Dashboard. So we're going to go to the dashboard, and this is the service that is also template VM or VM template. Why do we need that? So we need to create a template VM. What is a template? Template basically is that perfect machine whose copies you will be creating. So this is also called golden image in the market. You create one image which has an operating system with all the hardware drivers, like sound drivers and network drivers, display drivers are installed. Then all the Windows automatic updates are latest, antivirus is latest installed, all the signatures installed, WinZip is installed, and everything else. It's and whatever applications you want are installed. So it's a perfect machine, and you don't want to waste time when somebody says, hey, can you create 5 machines for me, or some other department says, hey, can you create 10 virtual machines for us. So instead, you just go to the template machine and simply create a clone out of that, and then just customize a little for the department, and send and give the access to those machines to that department. So the template is used to create copy machines or clone machines. So obviously, when we're talking about in this diagram that automatically the clones will be created, so obviously you need to have a template VM for that. You need to define first in the template VM what OS you want, and if you want any applications on top of that, you can just choose that image, and then also any other feature like what security you want, or what kind of networking you want, and etc., and obviously the CPU, RAM, SSD. So you have to define all that in a template machine, and you hand over that template machine to Ec2 Auto Scaling. So it's actually two services that are working together. One service is the template VM service, and then the second service is auto scaling service, right? So we're going to be creating a template VM as well. So let's go to our lab, and I need to actually assign your group there these permissions. So I'm just going to keep that page open. And so guys, one more thing is that when your group gets assigned all these permissions, then you need to sign out from AWS, and then you need to sign in again. So when I tell you to sign out and sign in, then please do that. Otherwise, these permissions will not be effective, and you might get errors when we're doing the lab. So when I say then only, right now, well, even if you don't log in now, that's okay, because you have to sign out, sign in anyway, after I give this permission to your user account. So I'm going to log in first. You can wait, you can sign out now even, because once I've given you permissions, after that only sign in, or you remain sign in now, but then you can sign out. Okay, is that a G or a Q? I think it's Q, right? Okay. 2A. Okay, it was not Q. CMP54W. Okay, so I'm logged in now, and I'm in the groups, and we already have your group here, and that's the Wednesday group. We have 16 students here, so we already got some permissions given, but I'll be giving more permissions. In fact, we don't need load balancing now, so detach policy, I'll just detach that. EC2, yeah, we need that, and I'll be attaching some more policies. So the page says here, okay, auto scaling, elastic load balancer, no, we don't need that. Auto scaling, there are 3. Modification, console access, full access. Okay, so I'll go for auto scaling, and auto scaling, full access, console access, notification. Okay, attach policy. Now these policies can only take effect when you sign out, sign in, right? So now either if you were signed out, go ahead and sign in now, or sign out now and sign in. So please go ahead and sign out, sign in. If you don't do that, so the newer permissions will not be implemented on your account, and you will start getting errors. So please sign out, sign in now. I hope you have all signed out, signed in. Yes. Okay, thank you for that reply, and let's go ahead. So I'm gonna go away from here, and then what do we need to go? First of all, guys, I'm gonna go to the services, this one, and I'm gonna go to EC2, right? Or under the compute, EC2. So let's click EC2, which is virtual machines, right? We've done those labs before. And then we go to, first of all, we come here and check the instances. and we all got nothing here. And okay, so message says cannot sign in. Why not? Can you share the error on WhatsApp, or what's the error coming? Information is not correct. Information not correct, right? So you forgot your password, Meseret, for some reason. Okay, let me just check it out. You did not forget your password. Okay. So Meseret, this is your username, right? Hopefully you're putting the correct username. And I am, this is your username, and I'll just you want me to change your password. Also, how are you logging in? You need to put in the account ID this, right? So now that's the benefit of WhatsApp, that if you had put that screenshot, the other batch is very fast on that, very quick on that. They just put their screenshot of the error, and I tell them right away what to do and what not to do, right? So this is the account ID you need to put, that I put there on chat. Hopefully you're seeing that on the chat right now, in the WebEx chat. I put your username there, I put the account ID there. Do you want me to change the password? You can quickly tell me so I could do that. You don't need it, you know. Oh, you're okay now? So good. Okay guys, so let's go to services. And in the services, we're going to EC2, right? Well, so let's click the EC2 in the services. Now once you go to EC2, make sure on the top right that it's North Virginia, right? So you that was an exam or quiz question as well, midterm quiz question, right? If we go to IAM here, you can see that it changes to global on the top right. But when we go to the service, so IAM is creating users and groups and permissions, right? So that's why it's global. It doesn't have to be regional. While EC2 can be regional because it's going to use underlying hardware. So which region's hardware you're using. So make sure that you see North Virginia on the top right. That's the first thing. And this would be your screenshot number 1. So take a screenshot here, logged into EC2 Dashboard. Take a screenshot of this dashboard here, and your username on the top right must be showing, right? And North Virginia should be showing as well. So take a screenshot number 1, logged into EC2 Dashboard is the name of the screenshot. I'm going to take a sample screenshot here, logged into EC2 Dashboard. I'll put that there on our OneNote. So that's our screenshot 1. Logged into EC2 Dashboard is our screenshot 1. That's the name, and the screenshot is there, right? Hopefully everyone took the screenshot. And let's go ahead, right? So we're here, and what we need to do is, okay, so the service name is actually not template VM or VM template. It is called launch template, right? So let's click the launch template. And oh man, Kongli launch template. Somebody decided to not, Kongli is not in this class, right? Nope, it's from yesterday's class. You know, if you forget to delete that and I find it later, I will be cutting your marks for that. So please make sure that everything is deleted. I'll have to tell that other batch, there are 2 students who are not very careful and they really are risking losing their marks for being negligent. Okay, so we're inside the launch template, and as our plan is that first we're going to we need to create a template VM from the service called launch template from AWS launch template. And second thing is we will use this template in our Aws Auto Scale configuration. Goodness, Auto Scale configuration. So these are the 2 major steps that we're gonna go for. So that's the first step we're doing now, and I'm gonna go ahead. So use launch templates to automate instance launches, simplify permission policies, and enforce best practices across your organization. Save launch parameters in a template that can be used for on-demand launches and with managed services, including Ec2 Auto Scaling and Ec2 Fleet. Easily update your launch parameters by creating a new launch template version. So we're about to create a launch template, and what it's going to do is, well, we can just use this template anywhere. There are 2 services here that we can use it in. One is Ec2 Auto Scaling and the other one is Ec2 Fleet. So benefits and features: streamline provisioning, simplify permissions, governance. So streamline provisioning, minimize steps to provision instances with Ec2 Auto Scaling. Updates to a launch template can be automatically passed to an auto scaling group. So streamline provisioning is just, it's easy to really use a template in provisioning or deploying your copy machines. And simplify permissions, yeah, you can just give anyone permissions with the IAM, identity and access management. And governance, ensure best practices are used across your organization. Well, you can do that too. So I'm going to click, let's go ahead and click this, create launch template, right? So let's click this create launch template now. Hopefully everyone's doing that. So hopefully everyone's on this page. Okay, so let's put our name here, your first name, launch template, right? Your first page, did I say first page? Yeah. Your first name, launch template. Now, you can put a version number as well here, like it's 1.0, and then maybe after 6 months you revisited this template because you wanted to put the latest Windows updates there, and you wanted to put some newer software there as well for the template. So when the clone gets created, then the clone will have the latest updates as well and the latest software. So you can create it, but I'm just going to copy the whole thing here and paste it here. Just put some information in the description. And then if we go down, now it says here auto scaling guidance, right? Auto scaling guidance. So obviously this is where we will be offered, this is what's going to offer us the auto scaling configuration options. So we're going to select this. So go ahead and select this option, right? And well, there are template tags here that add tag just mean tags you've already used, that what department, sales, and key and value you need to put there, right? And manager John, branch Toronto, so it's like that. So we don't need to really put that template tagged here. We don't need to go for source template as well. Source template is all about if you created your own custom virtual machine with all your custom settings and you want to give a path for that, then you can go for source template. But we are not going for source template. We're not configuring anything here, right? If we go further down a bit, so there's launch template content. So obviously you need to give a AMI, Amazon machine image. You need to choose the machine image. Suppose now if you drop drop up this one, so there is there are so many machines here, right? There's a combination of machines. There's Windows 2016, 2012, and with SQL Server different versions, or Ubuntu, or Linux, Red Hat, CentOS, and different versions of that, right? So the thing is that you need to really select whichever image you want. Now, obviously, we will select Windows, so I'm just going to type here on the top Windows, right? So you need to type Windows and you need to select the first one, which is Windows 2019 base, right? So I'm going to go for Windows 2019 base. That's the first one. So this is selected. Now, if we go down, we need to actually select the virtual hardware as well. So I'm going to click this, and then I'm going to select what we have been always selecting, and that is T2.micro. So hopefully you've all seen that and you're selecting that too. So I'm going to click on T2.micro. So we have selected an image, then we have selected T2.micro as well. If we go further down, so there's a key pair. Now, last labs we have actually configured key pair, right? So we don't need a key pair now. Why? Because we just need to know that auto scaling is working basically or not, right? So when the machines do, when another machine do get created, then we will simply try to just check that if auto scaling is working. We're not going to actually connect to the machine, so we don't need a key pair. We do not need a key pair for this particular lab, auto scaling, right? So I'm going to go down to this and the network settings. So it says that inside which VPC you want to connect, which virtual private cloud you want to connect. So there's a VPC here already selected. So what is VPC or virtual private cloud? We are working inside a private cloud here. So it is actually a public cloud, AWS. Inside public cloud, we are given a private cloud or private work area for ourselves. So we are given a VPC inside which we can create virtual machines, storage, networking, databases, and all other services. So it's saying that, hey, you want to create or configure this auto scaling within your VPC in which you're already working, and we're saying yes. So no change on this page, on this area as well. Also, we know that what is a security group here. Security groups allow or block your internet traffic, and also you can allow and block the source and destination public IP, that where do you want to allow the traffic to come from, and from where you want to block the traffic, right, and where should it go. So inbound, outbound traffic you can also control from security groups, as well as what type of traffic is allowed and what type of traffic is not allowed. So we already have done that, security groups as well. We don't need security group here because we're not going to connect to the machines. We will just check that if basically auto scaling works or not. Okay, so if we go down storage, so yes, we just need one 30 GB disk, which is good enough for us. And so no change on this one, on the storage as well. If we go to resource tags, no, we're not creating any resource tags. If we go down to network interfaces, so no. Well, again, I'm saying that we're just testing auto scaling, and we're not testing anything else. Otherwise, obviously, you would add a network interface here if you want to connect to the machines, but there will be so many machines there. Actually, not for us, but obviously in the production environment, maybe you want to connect to some machines after they're created. So then you can create a network interface card at that time, but right now we don't need it. Other than that, there are advanced details as well. So let's click advanced details, although we're not gonna select anything here as well, but we should at least know what it is inside and why. So if we go inside here, advanced details, and obviously this is the template machine that you need to be carefully adding any kind of features that you will need later in all those clones that will be created. So there's IAM instance profile, and this is just a new IAM profile, which just you can just add more extra information about the virtual machine. Shutdown behavior is not supported here. Hibernation is not supported here. Termination protection. So termination is delete. So do you want to protect your machines from being deleted? If scale in, remember the scale in, that it automatically deletes if the CPU is less than certain percentage. So if you don't want scale in to happen, and you want once the machines are created, you want to keep them created, then you can enable that. Otherwise, we don't need to enable that. Detailed CloudWatch. CloudWatch is a one-stop monitoring application, and the CloudWatch will be it's going to charge you for monitoring your machine. So obviously, if you go back to the diagram, so when your machines are created, it's CloudWatch will monitor that, okay, one new machine got created, and or 18th new machine is getting created, or 200th new machine is getting created. So you will get all the notifications from a monitoring application called CloudWatch, but they're going to charge you for this. So that's why well, big companies, for them it doesn't really matter, because obviously if they're earning millions of dollars. So CloudWatch is what, if you it will send you for $2 or $3, it will send you 100,000 emails, right? And for $2 or $3, it will send you 50 or 100 SMS, right? So in $1, 100 SMS, then companies earning in millions. It's peanuts. Elastic GPU. If you are okay. Oh, Alexander. Man, you're like quite late here. So we are much ahead. Well, are you logged in, Alexander? And can you type fast and reply? Realize I might have missed much. Well, if it was a lot, I would have told you to sit back and enjoy the show, but now we're not that far. So are you logged in? Whoa, what happened? Jury's click services, under compute, select EC2, screenshot 1. Oh, wow. There you go, Alexander. Jury's has all this noted down. Hey, that's amazing. Under compute, select EC2, screenshot 1. Yeah. So go to EC2. It's from Notepad, so the formatting is gone. Okay. Okay. So yeah, that's helpful. And also, just go to EC2, Alexander. EC2, this one, and simply select launch templates. This one. Hopefully you're fast. So launch template in EC2, and once you launch template, then click create launch template. And once you create launch, I'm just going a bit faster, hopefully you're following. Once you click create launch template, you need to put your name dash launch template here, and your name dash launch template, and copy the same thing here, and that's it. Here, down here, AMI, you need to choose Windows 2019. So you will just type here like this, Windows, and Windows 2019 will come up like this. If you type here Windows, hopefully you're there, Windows 2019. Once you select that, then here you select T2.micro. That's all we have done till now. Like we have been talking about it. Otherwise, we would have gone too far. But we were trying to understand everything, so I was explaining everything. So T2.micro is what we selected. So Windows 2019 T2.micro. If you're done, that's it. That's what we did till now. Other than that, we're still going down here. Go to advanced details. That's what we're talking about right now. Okay, so I'll just close this. Hopefully you're there. Hopefully, right? No? Yes? Maybe? Okay. So I'll just close this now. And yeah, we were talking about we are in the advanced details here, right? So we were talking about this cloud GPU. So graphical processing unit, graphics processing unit. So if you are doing blockchain related applications, you're installed and running that, or you're going for cryptocurrency. Now Bitcoin is like $75,000. So anyone has spare Bitcoins, you can feel free to send me 2 or 3. Right? Thank you very much. Just kidding. Okay. So here, elastic GPU, if you're going for some kind of cryptocurrency or blockchain or any kind of graphics, then yeah, you can just choose this, but obviously they're gonna charge you. And this is auto scaling, right? So every machine will then have the GPU capability, and you need to then see that how much you will be charged. So elastic inference accelerators just means that whatever kind of CPU and RAM all of a sudden is needed. Suppose you were anticipating 2,000 users per machine, but it's like, or total you were anticipating just 20,000 users, but it became 80,000 users instead. So whatever CPU and RAM will be extra needed, if you set this option, that will be given to you. Credit specification and placement group. So obviously you want to go for any payment that is already credited to you, or some of the hardware resources that are credited to you. You can just get those. I'm just going to click this info here for credit specification. A credit specification is only available for T2, T3 and T3A instances. Selecting unlimited for the credit specification allows applications to burst beyond the baseline for as long as needed at any time. So credit specification simply means that you pay whatever you're paying per hour, right? You increase that slightly, some more per hour, but then in case then you need more CPU and RAM, you will be given more. And in fact, no matter how much more you need, you will be given that, because then you accepted to pay a little more per hour. So this is just whenever you need more boost of your applications, you will get that boost in terms of utilizing the underlying hardware. Placement group, we talked about that before as well, and the placement group was that you can make your virtual machine redundant within one region in multiple availability groups. Within one region in multiple availability. We've talked about placement groups when we were creating that, so that should not be any, you can just refer to that video where we were talking about that already. And placement group name, so well, then there's EBS optimized instance, which is EBS is elastic block storage, and this is the virtual disk of a virtual machine. And you want more EBS or faster EBS or elastic block storage or the virtual disk, yes, you can get that. Also, capacity reservation, you can go for capacity reservation there, and that capacity reservation is obviously, we're going to talk about that later as well, but this just means that suppose you want to reserve, hey, I need a 3.4 gigahertz processor, and I need 128 GB RAM, and I need 10 terabyte disk. So I need that for 1 year and 24/7, 365. Hey AWS, you need to provide me that, and if you are unable to provide at certain moment, certain hours, then you will reimburse me some of the charges. So capacity reservation is just that tenancy, RAM disk ID, kernel ID, and Nitro Enclave. These are some of the other extra features. There's tenancy, obviously you want dedicated tenancy. So we talked about that before. RAM disk ID, I'm just going to click info here as well. A RAM disk that contains the necessary drivers to make the chosen kernel work. So, and kernel is that main code of an operating system that talks to the hardware. So the kernel ID and RAM disk ID. And then there's Nitro Enclave is a trusted execution environment, TEE, in which you can securely process sensitive data. So you want to process sensitive data, then this is that execution environment, trusted execution environment. So it extends the security and isolation characteristics of the AWS Nitro system and allows you to create isolated compute environments within Amazon EC2 instances. Well, basically it's just providing more security to your sensitive data. So then metadata accessible, metadata version, metadata response is all about data, so you're putting some more information there. And then you can put some scripts here as well down here for every clone that gets created. So basically we're not changing any option here, but what we did change is, I'm just going to show you briefly way up here. We put a name here, your first name, launch template. Then we also clicked this option, provide guidance to help me set up template. So we clicked this option, and then we went down to Windows Server 2019 base. We selected that in the AMI, and we selected D2.micro, right? So that's all we selected on this page. Now, well, when it gets created, then we're going to take a screenshot. So other than that, we selected nothing else, right? Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to click the create launch template now. So let's click create launch template now, right? And once we do that, so this message comes and launch template got created. So in that case, we will just take a screenshot number 2. So launch let's take a screenshot number 2 here. Launch template created. Take a screenshot number 2. Launch template created. Screenshot 2. Launch template created. So I'm just gonna take a sample screenshot here and make sure that your screenshot shows your name on the top right, college ID and name, and not Virginia is showing, right? Screenshot 2, launch template created. So screenshot 2 hopefully taken by everyone. Now once the launch template is created, it can also show you here next steps, launch an instance. You can just create an instance out of that, one other machine yourself manually, or create an auto scaling group. That's exactly what we're trying to go for now. Or create a spot fleet. A spot instance is an unused EC2 instance that is available for less than the on-demand price. So spot fleet just means that you are using the spot instances, which we talked about before as well, but we're going to be talking, it's upcoming again. Anyway, right now we're just going to check the view launch template. Let's click the view launch template button at the bottom. Once we click the view launch template, so now I can see everyone's template here. That's cool. Okay, so that's done, right? Now we are still inside the EC2 dashboard. So I'm gonna go down. Inside the same dashboard where you create the launch template, you can go to the bottom of that and you should find auto scaling group, right? So let's click that at the bottom, this option, auto scaling groups. So once we click that option, auto scaling groups, so you can see there's a Amazon EC2 Auto Scaling group, helps maintain the availability of your applications. So when we were saying that in the diagram as well, that there's a feature called AWS EC2 Auto Scaling. So it is configured inside auto scaling groups. The actual service is called auto scaling groups. Okay, auto scaling groups are collections of Amazon EC2 instances that enable automatic scaling and fleet management features. These features help you maintain the health and availability of your applications. So let's go ahead and click. Well, there is that, guys, how it works. This is a good diagram that shows about more information about that. So suppose you go for one machine that there's a minimum size showing here, and then there's a desired capacity that's showing there. So minimum this much should be there. So one machine, obviously we're gonna have one machine there, but desired capacity is we want to reach here, and there's maximized size, which is scale out as needed, as when you put the threshold there for CPU as we discussed in the diagram. So you can also then scale out. It will just scale out. So there's a minimum size, there's a desired capacity, and there's a maximum size. We're going to see that as well. Okay, let's click that create auto scaling group. I'm going to click that now. So it starts a wizard, and you can see there's a step 1, there's a step 2, there's a step 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? So let's go for first of all the name, and you guessed it. So your first name dash auto scaling group. Once you have put in that name, now you can see actually two things. Launch template, we did that already, but there's a switch to launch configuration. So there's another feature of AWS called launch configuration. Launch configuration. So these launch configuration also lets you create a machine, a template machine, but with more options and different options than launch template. So it's a configuration of a machine, and template is just an image. So there are many options that are shown here, but it also lets you create a configuration of a machine that can be used here to create clones out of. So okay, since we actually created a template, so we're just gonna simply drop down here, and you can choose your named machine or template here. You can choose your named template here. So I'm gonna go for my named template. the rest of the information is the same as we configured for the launch template. This is the configuration of the launch template. So we selected the launch template, and that's it. So we're going to click next. So once we click next, now it says here instance purchase options. Use the launch template to create a uniform configuration among all of the instances in the group, or define options to accommodate a wide variety of requirements such as launching spot and on-demand instances. So it's just saying that, hey, you want to just adhere to the launch template, or you want to go for some more extra options there if you're going for spot instances or any other types of instances. So we're going to stick to our launch template configuration, and we don't want any change to that configuration. So we're going to keep this selected and go down here. So it's just asking the same thing, that hey, you want to work on this VPC, or you have your own new VPC. So this new VPC, obviously this lab is still upcoming. Right now we just want to use our own VPC in which we are working. And then it says that which availability zone. Now it mentions the name subnet, but if you just click that, so there are 1A, 1B, C, D, E, F, right? So these are all actually availability zones. They are called subnets, but they are not subnets. In fact, they are availability zones. Remember that within one region there could be 2 to 6 availability zones. Within one availability zone you can have 2 to 8 data centers, and within one data center you can have 100,000 up to 300,000 physical servers. So each data center is so huge. So imagine how big or bigger area the availability zone will be spread in. So I'm selecting 1A for organization purpose. Otherwise any one of these can be selected. There is no particular reason. Well, the one reason that I'm selecting 1A is for just organization, so I could remember. Okay, so I selected 1A here, and then I'm going to click next. So once we have clicked next, no load balancer here. No load balancer here, right? So why do we need a load balancer? Well, the scenario where we were, so normally it does use a load balancer there, but we already create that load balancer separately in our previous class, so we don't need to create that now. We still need to understand basically how auto scaling really works. Dante was 1A, although it could be any one of those, it doesn't really matter, but I selected 1A. Okay, so well, normally what happens is that there's a load balancer here, and the traffic hits first the LB load balancer, and then it is distributed among all the other virtual machines, right? So in a production environment, that's how it happens. But here we're not going to choose load balancer because we already did a lab on load balancer separately. We're just trying to check if auto scale basically works or not. So a health check will be there if you have load balancer, right? But it is also there because your virtual machine will take some time to start, so it could be 300 seconds there, right? So it might take 300 seconds to start, so you can just decrease the time. Why 300 seconds is written there? You're telling the health check to wait for this much time and then start monitoring the virtual machine, right? So you can increase that time, you can decrease that time, but whatever time a machine will take. Suppose you create a clone or a template machine that has a SQL server inside, which is a big application, or some other big application, right? So then when you start that machine and you time it, so you see that it's taking 500 seconds instead of 300 seconds, suppose. So in that case, you would want to put that kind of time here, whatever you checked as a time, right? Okay, give me a second, guys. I'm just changing the position of my table. Obviously, that's a luxury we have when we are connecting from home. We can sit however we want and whatever. Okay. So, as we were talking about the health check will still have a role to play, but there will be no load balancer in our case. But there can be a load balancer. There can be a load balancer there in a production environment. And there is monitoring. If, well, in a production environment, we may want to enable monitoring, but here we will not. But even in production environment, you should know that if you enable that, they will charge you for sending you the monitoring notifications. They will charge you, right? But again, the companies which are earning a lot, it is compulsory for them, and yes, they will be willing to pay for that. So if I click next, so no change on this page, and click next. So this is the main configuration here, or the most important configuration that you're going to be configuring for auto scaling, and that is what is your desired capacity. So there's a group size optional written here, and there's an info written here. So I'm going to click this info now. So it says here, choose a value for desired capacity based on the number of instances or the number of capacity units that you want for the group size. The desired capacity setting can be changed later if you need to increase or decrease the size of the group. Typically, you set the desired capacity based on the number of instances so that Amazon EC2 Auto Scaling knows the exact number of EC2 instances to launch and maintain. If you use instance weights, however, remember to always set your desired capacity based on your desired number of capacity units. When Amazon EC2 Auto Scaling launches instances, it will count how many capacity units are represented by the weighted instances, and when it reaches your desired capacity, it stops launching instances. So basically, in English, what it is saying that if you you can give a desired capacity here, right? So suppose I go for 2. So minimum capacity is this, and desired, what you really desired to have. So when AWS will see that, oh, okay, so your desired, suppose there were actually a big environment, and you went for you said that, hey, since I can afford that, so suppose you go for 100 machines there. So don't put that number, do not put that number. I'm just giving an example. So 100 maximum capacity, but your desired capacity would be maybe you can say 80. That I would still, hey AWS, just try to reach till 80, but if there's overwhelming traffic, then go for maximum of 100, right? So desired capacity is that you want to maintain at that because of your some anticipation of the customers, and you're expecting that kind of traffic, that we would at least use 80 machines. This is your careful guess there, that you're putting it in the desired capacity. But if the traffic is even more, then it's gonna keep on going till it reaches your maximum capacity there. So change these numbers, because we cannot risk these numbers now, so desired capacity or maximum capacity, change it back to this. So minimum capacity we will be doing right now is 1. And what does minimum capacity means? Suppose you have 1 machine here, and that is the minimum capacity, right? So suppose there was not enough pressure and still 1 machine, but then you decide to check, hey, let me check if auto scaling really works. So what you do is you delete that machine. Now the minimum capacity feature, because of that, AWS will recreate 1 machine again, because AWS is supposed to have minimum. AWS Auto Scaling, we told it to always have minimum 1 machine. Suppose there were 200 machines here, and minimum you decided to have this number and 200 here as well, right? Suppose we're not going to do that. We're not going to do that, right? So minimum capacity. Now suppose you delete 2 machines from there, and they are 48 now, right? So it will automatically make sure that minimum 50 machines are there, and it will automatically recreate the 2 missing machines. So it will always keep this number intact. Even if machines are down, it will just simply create another one to keep this number, minimum this number, it will keep always. So I'm going to go down to 2 here, go down to 1 here, go down to 2 here again. Okay, so what we are going to do in our lab, we're going to have maximum 2 machines, and desired capacity is also just 2 machines, right? And minimum capacity is 1. If we go further down here, target tracking scaling policy, let's click this target tracking scaling policy. We need to give that threshold, right, that we were talking so much about. So that's going to be happening here. So if we had not, it was on none, right? So this means that choose whether to use scaling policy to dynamically resize your auto scaling. What does that mean? Dynamically, you don't have to put an actual number here. It's gonna simply check that, oh, there's more traffic, and let me decide myself automatically that when it is overwhelming for the first machine to take the traffic, or when the degradation is significant, so I could create another one. So the machine or the auto scaling feature itself will dynamically decide that if it was on none here. But we are trying to give our own number. If it breaches that threshold, please create another machine, right? But here, okay, first of all, target tracking policy. Alright guys, so I'm back, and my machine was restarted because of the BSOD, or blue screen of death. So well, thank God the video got recovered, and I'm just continuing with the second video. So I'll just go ahead and continue where we were. Okay, so it took me back to choose launch template or configuration. So I'm just gonna quickly reach where you are. So it's going to be your first name, launch template, and second thing, I select my template, which is not my name-based template. Then I click next here, adhere to launch template. I put the subnet as 1A, and next. No load balancer, 300 seconds, nothing here. Next. That's where we were, where we went for 2 desired capacity virtual machines or EC2 instances, 1 minimum virtual machine we need, and maximum capacity also 2, do not go more than that. So name dash auto scaling group. Oh, let me just go back previous. Oh yeah, you're right. Thank you, Teresa. It was name dash auto scaling group, because launch template we already created. Good catch. Auto scaling group, and next to nothing here. Added to launch template. Nothing here. Next to. Yeah, scaling policies is optional. Oh yeah, Nargis is scaling policies. We're gonna go there as well. Next to, so here I needed to put 2, 1, 2. and yes, the scaling policy. So I'm just going to select that target tracking policy, scaling policy. And okay guys, so we were talking about that, and it's average CPU utilization, and we discussed that in our um, in our so we were discussing that in our diagram as well. Now there we were discussing, and yes, the diagram is also gone. Seriously? Okay, so in the diagram we were discussing that we had, I'm just not going to create the whole diagram, but really near to that. I wish I had copied that somewhere. So no, I did not copy that. So here auto scaling, but it's in the video, thank God. When you see the video you will see that whole diagram there. So there was a web server here, and then web pages, suppose, and then product 1 and product details, products. So we were saying that if suppose it breaches 75% or 65% or 85%, whatever you want to name, threshold you want to put there, 70% threshold, right? So in that case, if it has 75% threshold, if it breaches that threshold, then another machine should get created, right? So we were talking about this for our production environment, suppose. But what about here? So here, if we put that threshold of CPU as 75%, then we will have to use some script to put the processor busy so much that it breaches the 75% threshold of CPU, or we need to maybe open 20 or 30 pages with YouTube, and then it will slowly become busy. So instead of doing all that, in our lab, what we're going to do is we're going to put our CPU threshold as 10%. So why 10%? Because we want it to breach right away, so we could check if another machine will automatically get created or not. Still, why 10? Because Windows Server 2019, the operating system inside, it needs more than 10% definitely the CPU to even start. So this means there's a guarantee that it's going to breach the CPU threshold of 10%. Even if that doesn't breach, we can just put it to 5%, and that's definitely going to breach. But 10% also simply, so Windows 2019 needs more CPU to start, right? And in that case, 10% will be breached, and we will see that a new machine will get created. So for our lab, we're going to go for 10%, but obviously in a production environment you would go for 60, 75, 80% threshold there. So what we're going to do is, and one more thing is, average CPU here is CPU utilization is the threshold that we're checking, but there is average network in or inbound traffic bytes. So how many bytes should be incoming to what number of bytes that if it reaches that you will consider to create another virtual machine. So you can just select that. So this is incoming byte, and then there is outgoing bytes, so inbound traffic, outbound traffic, and then there is application load balancer as well, which is, suppose you have an application somewhere and it has a lot of traffic. So what kind of request count per target is the application, and how many requests are there, and you can put a value there. If it breaches that value, then only you can just simply select any of those thresholds that you want to select, right? So well, we're just gonna go stick to what we were talking about, CPU utilization. And yes, we're not gonna go for 50%, we're gonna go for 10%. So just to ensure that this value should be breached right away, so we could see that if the other machine gets credited or not, right? Now what we need to do here is that it also says that, hey, you want to wait for the monitoring to start for 300 seconds. Will your machine take that much time to start? So it gets created and it starts as well. It takes time, right? So this is what we can put here as well, including in metric. Which metric? The monitoring software. We didn't enable any monitoring software, so putting that value here doesn't matter because we don't have any monitoring software. If we had enabled CloudWatch, then it would charge us, right? So we did not enable that. There's also it's saying disable scale in to create only a scale out policy. So that scenario also we were talking about, that suppose you don't want to scale in, you don't want your machines deleted when there is no traffic. Maybe you're expecting that the traffic will keep coming back after some time. It will go, it will come back, it will go, it will come back, right? So you don't want the machines to be deleted and then recreated. That may waste time, and the degradation of performance might go slowly. So if you want to disable it, then this is the button. We're not going to disable that, but that's another option here also. Enable instance scale in protection. This kind of so if protect from scale is enabled, newly launched instances will be protected from scale in by default. So it says that your machines will not be deleted, right? So I don't know why these two same policies are here, but this is put optional and this is the part of this policy here, scaling policies. So anyway, thing is that this is also going to protect you from scaling, or this is also going to protect you from your machine being deleted. So we're not going to select any of these two options. And above, again, we selected 2 for desired capacity, 1 minimum capacity, maximum capacity is 2. So this screen, we're going to take screenshot number 3, and we can say that AWS scaling policy. So take a screenshot number 3 and name it AWS scaling policy. Screenshot 3, AWS scaling policy. I'm just going to take a screenshot here, sample screenshot. Make sure your name on the top right is showing. And that's screenshot 3. AWS scaling policy. Okay, so I'll be connecting back to now this screenshot taken, and make sure that the average CPU utilization is 10. Then we click next. Once we click next, so it says that, hey, you want to be notified of any machine getting created or any machine getting deleted. So in a production environment, yes, it's a separate third service, SNS. So CloudWatch is a monitoring service. And notification service is another service that you need to pay for, although they're all charged in certain cents per hour, or a few dollars per 100,000 emails, and a few dollars per 100 SMS. So it's like that. Notification service is a separate service that charges you as well. In a production environment, we would do this, we will take this, but here we don't have to. So SNS is simple notification service, right? I'm going to click next. And add tags. We've created tags before as well, that this is your branch, this is your manager, this is your department. So we don't have to create tags here. So I'm just going to click next here. No change on this page as well. And this is our review page. So this is the final button here, and let's click that review. Okay, did I say let's click that review? Which review? No, there's no click on review. Let's click on this create auto scaling group. Okay, so I'm just gonna click that create auto scaling group, right? Okay, so everyone's auto scaling group has been created, and you can click your named group, right? So I'm just gonna, hey, where's my name? Refresh it. There's my name. So I'm gonna click my name here, and once you're inside that, then you can go for this instance management. You can go for instance management here inside your auto scaling group. And oh, you're kidding me, I already got 2 machines here, so I should say woohoo. Hopefully you also got it, 2 machines or maybe 1 machine. It worked faster today than yesterday. Okay, Mesrat got 2, so that's another woohoo. Woohoo! Wow, that was fast. Yesterday we were like refresh, and okay, so Ahmed also got it, Tenzin also got it, so David also got it, Nargis also got it, and woohoo! So that's woohoo for all, and Damandeep also got it. Very good, very good. So how did we get here? Okay. Well, if you had created the auto scaling group with us, after we create the group, yeah, Alexander, I think your group should be here. Oh, there's 2 here, right? Page number 2. So I'm gonna go for page number 2, and yes, Alexander, yours is on page number 2. So go inside, and yes, you also got 2. So everyone shows here 2 already. 2 desired capacity. Actually, minimum, maximum 2, and actually this is the column. Instances column is the one that shows what exactly is there. So it's simply, and everyone, oh yeah, everyone got 2 right away. That's very good. That was fast. So guys, so we go inside that auto scaling, and then there's an instance management, right? So if you see 2 machines, then this is going to be your screenshot number 4, and that is auto scaling works. We can say auto scaling works. Screenshot 4, we can say auto scaling works. So it would be take a screenshot for and auto scaling works. Take a screenshot for auto scaling works. auto scaling works. So I'll just take a quick screenshot here. Oops, where have I started? I'll go here. Screenshot for auto scaling works. Okay, now we need to, so here instance management is there, and second thing is there's automatic scaling here, right? In the automatic scaling you can simply change that from 10 to whatever you want as well, but you can change it. This is the area where you can change that scaling while it is working, right? So now, guys, this is what we wanted to prove here, that auto scaling, how it is created and what was the purpose of that and how does it work. So since it is now done, so the next thing would be how to delete it. Yay! And you're like, what? Hey, after so much effort we created that, teach. Hey, prof, come on. Well, we need to know how to delete that too, right? So this much, if you know, then you can just play with it later, adding all other features. Well, you cannot play in this area, but in this subscription, but you can just attach your credit card with your own AWS 1-year free tier subscription, and there you can play as much as you want. But here, now we're going to check that how to delete this. So the thing is that, oh, you don't like this part? Amir says I was expecting that. So yeah, after we spend 2 hours creating it, the fun part is the delete part, right? Or not? Maybe not. Okay, so what we need to do is, because we need to go ahead and do some other stuff as well, right? And today we're gonna go till 12:30 or 1 o'clock, because you have nothing to do tomorrow, so you're just free, right? So we can, so that's why we need to go ahead for other topics as well. So let's go ahead. Yeah, see, if you're paying. So no, I'm just kidding. I just wanted to have those priceless reactions there. Okay, so guys, how to delete. Now you're inside your auto scaling and your name is showing here, right? Do you see on the top right here actions, and do you see anything here delete? I don't. So this means that we have to go outside. We have to go to the auto scaling groups level, this one. Let's click that. Let's click that. And now we all, all you need to do is select here the checkbox, and on the top there is a delete button that should get enabled, right? So I'm gonna go down to mine and I'm gonna select. Once it is selected, I'm gonna go down yes. For me, it is selected. And then I'm gonna go on the top, so it's pretty simple and straightforward. Just go ahead and click delete. The good thing about this is auto scaling. Suppose you actually were a big company and you selected 200 machines and it went scaled out to 200 machines, suppose. The good thing is you want to delete all of them. This is exactly what you do. Simply select the full auto scaling group and click the delete button. That's it, right? Auto scaling button, right? So I'm going to click delete now, and it says just type the word delete to confirm. Yes, that's a good thing. So I'm going to click delete again, and delete. Well, mine is gone. It's actually deleting now. There you go. So I'm just going to refresh that. Anyone else initiated that? Yeah, pretty much everyone. And refresh. You just have to scroll up and down. Yeah, there you go. So everyone, if I go to the next page, Alexander has not initiated the deletion process, and Alexander has still not initiated the deletion process. Refresh, and I'll go to page 2, and now it is initiated here as well. Yay! Okay, so that was fun, right? Let's do this thing all over again. And first we go for launch tab. I'm just kidding. Okay, so yeah, now we're gonna go for EC2 dashboard here, and there are other services on this full dashboard, so we're gonna go for those, and we're gonna just try to explore other options, and let's go ahead. So now there's one more thing that we need to delete. Remember, launch template, right? So let's click the launch template here, and we see our templates. I'm gonna go for my template with my name here, and this is pretty straightforward as well, just like the previous one. You just simply select it like this, and you go for actions, and you delete like this, right? So I'm going to click my template. I'm just gonna simply click the delete button. Go ahead and let's delete that. And then it asks that, can you please type the word delete again? So I will. And D and delete. Well, mine is gone. Fresh. Yeah, 4 remaining. 3 remaining. 3 remaining. Meseret, Dante, and Cherries. 3 remaining. You can just hear the tone of my voice now. 3 remaining. Okay, just kidding. So yeah, let's go ahead, guys, and EC2 dashboard. We see on the left side here. So what we're going to do is that we're going to go for all these features. We're going to talk about that, right? So we should know that what are the other features there. So what version? What version of? Oh, you had 2 versions, Meseret? Both. Delete both. If you're able to delete both, go for both. Okay, so on the left side, if we go down, so instances is the first thing which we already talked about. We already went for. We did labs on that, so we're not going to talk about this instances now. Then there's instance types. We already mentioned this one as well, because this talks about the virtual hardware, how much CPU you need, how much architecture, how much memory, how much storage type, and then launch templates here, and oh, there's only one now. So Meseret, if you're not able to delete that, then I'll just simply delete it for you. So I'm just going to click that here. I'm deleting it for you now. So I'm going to go for delete template, right? So I'm deleting it for you. Okay. Since you insist. Okay. No, you didn't. Alright, so launch template. So guys, we talked about launch template as well, so we're not going to talk about it. But spot requests is something that we did talk about before, but this is a separate console for that as well. And what happens here is that the spot request is all about using the hardware of your the half-priced or 90% discounted hardware that you want to go for. That is called the spot request there, and so EC2 spot instances, and that is normally you can use it for that hardware. So why there's a 90% discount, first of all, right? So the 90% discount is there because because you know that there are 300,000 up to 300,000 physical servers within the data center of Amazon, and Amazon has hundreds of data centers across the planet, right? So the spot so now those, it's not necessary that those hardware that hardware would be used all the time, right? There are 300,000 servers, so out of that, in one data center, maybe 60% of the capacity is being used and 40% are just sitting there doing nothing, right? The servers, the hardware servers. So how about AWS can offer that unused hardware at 90% discount, right? The only catch with that is that if anyone outbids you, suppose you've paid 10% of the regular price, and Amazon said, okay, you can just run your machines. But the thing is, if somebody paid 11% of the price, then we will delete your machines right away, unless you say that whoever outbids me, whoever, suppose I paid 10% of the market price, somebody offered 11%, so please just ask me first, and then I will also pay you 11%, right? If you had decided that way, if you have made a deal that way, then that's okay. Otherwise, AWS has the right to anytime delete your machine because somebody outbidded you, and that is so obviously, if you don't want to lose your machines, you can just say that, okay, whoever outbids me for whatever price, I'm just going to pay that. So if you say that, then they won't delete your machine, they will just charge you more, a little more of your competitors. So that's spot instances, and well, we're not going to actually create spot instances because we just need to understand that, but I will still go inside the spot instances. So I'm just going to click that request spot instances here, and just to explore the wizard, but we're going to cancel out at the end. Well, wherever I say that we're not going to create that, so yes, you don't have to follow. But yeah, if I do say that, okay, take a screenshot of this, then yes, you can follow. But for this particular one, I'm not gonna say take a screenshot. So yes, don't follow. Okay, so load balancing workloads, and then launch template. You can just use the template as well, which we just deleted now. AMI, which Amazon machine image you want to use, and which VPC inside which you want to create that. Availability zone. So these are all those typical options that you see when you are creating an EC2 instance. Oh, so Cherry says that, is there a break today, guys? So if you want to take a break now and keep going later, or yesterday's batch, they just didn't take a break and then we went early. But yes, you can take a break. It's up to you. So what's early? Yeah, early like 9:15, 9:20, or whenever the 10 screenshots are done. Like, but yeah, you suppose there's a bio break here. There's a terminology called bio break, right? Or somebody needs to really take a break. Yes, then, or maybe shorter break. Then I can give that anytime. Alright, there you go. So break. I'd rather finish early, David says. Okay, you go for break. So guys, how about 10-minute break, and we finish. If it's not a 20-minute break, then we can finish a bit early. But let's take a 10-minute break and then come back, because there's a request for break and we're supposed to give a break if there's a request. So 10-minute or 10-minute is okay, right? Let me know that too. If you want 20-minute break, let me know that. Okay, 12? What's with the 2 minutes? Okay, so so 8:06, come back at 8:16, right? Come back at 8:16. So let's take 10-minute break. Starts 8:16. Okay, let's go. Now we were talking about yeah, so the spot instances you we were talking about, and well, that's just the you know like for using 90% discount to use unused servers the of what, of Amazon, right? So we were talking about that, and you can have total target capacity. You want to start 10 machines here, you want to start 50 machines here, and maintain target capacity, set maximum cost for spot instances. So again, the thing is that you can choose the virtual hardware, how many machines you want here, and that's it. So, and it's going to charge you 0.031 cents per hour, 74% saving for any of the machines that you choose up there. So, well, we're not going to obviously launch that, so I'm going to cancel out from here, but we get to know that this is how the wizard looks like and the questions that the wizard asks, right? Other than that, if we go for savings plans here under the spot requests, so that is, saving plans are flexible pricing model that offer low prices on EC2, Fargate, and Lambda usage in exchange for a commitment to a consistent amount of usage. So they are simply saying that we're going to offer you savings plan if you commit to consistent amount of usage of their facility, right, or their underlying hardware. So if that's just like, you go to Rogers or Bell or any other, and you just say that, okay, I want a 2-year plan, and give me a discount for that. So they offer you a discount. So savings plan is just like that. So um, well, we just get to know that they offer savings plan in AWS, and if we go back, so there's the reserved instances. Now, reserved instances, and then there's capacity reservation. There are two types of instances there. So reserved instances, if we click the info in the reserved instances, so the reserved instances page lists all of your reserved instances in the currently selected AWS region. You can change which columns are visible in the table. It just tells you how to reserve that, but it doesn't tell you what is reserved instances. So there's a learn more at the bottom of the page. I'm going to click that reserved instances here, and reserved instances provide you with significant savings on your Amazon EC2 costs compared to on-demand instance pricing. So this is just significant savings again, and it just says reserved instances are not physical instances, but rather a billing discount applied to the use of on-demand instances in your account, right? So reserved instances are uh, not physical instances, but rather a billing discount applied to the use of on-demand instances. And these on-demand instances must match certain attributes such as instance type and region in order to benefit from the billing discount. Savings plan also offer significant savings on your EC2 costs compared to on-demand instance pricing. With savings plan, you make a commitment to a consistent usage amount measured in US dollar. This provides you with the flexibility to use instance configurations that best meet your needs. So basically, it is also talking about the same thing that previous one, that if you are promising to have consistent amount of usage, you're committing to consistent amount of usage, then yeah, they can offer you the you know that reserved instances can offer you some discount there, right? So it's also a discount plan. and so there are different ways to just simply earn the discount. But definitely, if you're going for long term with AWS, then you will be able to get it. And there's a dedicated host here. Um, So what is dedicated host? This is pretty straightforward. Like if you have uh, when you create a virtual machine, right? So suppose you created 2, 3, 20, 30, 200 virtual machines. Now those virtual machines are running on top of their hardware, right? So this is, suppose the AWS is a physical hardware, but it's not just your virtual machines or EC2 instances that are running on the hardware, but it's some other companies instances, some other subscriptions instances are there. So it's always shared hardware, your virtual machines plus some other company plus some other company and other companies as well, right? So suppose you want a best performance there and you want a hardware dedicated just for your virtual machine. So in that case, you can just pay more, but you get to monitor your dedicated hardware where machines of any other subscription will not run, only your machines will run on top of that. Sometimes you really need it if you're running a software that may want to detect the hardware. So suppose there's a software called VMware vCenter. You must have heard about it, right? VMware vCenter, right? So the vCenter actually uh, wants to detect the underlying processor socket. If there are one processor socket, it will activate your license. It has to detect the processor socket to activate the license. Or if you have two processor sockets in the hardware on the motherboard, then it's going to activate the second license. So some of the applications require that they need to detect the hardware. So if your company has that kind of application, you can just go for the dedicated host where you get to control your hardware, yourself, like the hardware that is given to you by AWS. And you can also actually suppose you have one subscription here, one subscription account, then you have another subscription account, and third a subscription account. So that subscription account's virtual machines can also be hosted here in your dedicated host plan. So that's the main concept behind that. And Amazon EC2 can now allocate and manage dedicated hosts on your behalf to simplify the management experience. The simplified management experience includes the ability to launch different instances on a host, share host across accounts. So suppose your company has multiple AWS accounts, so their virtual machines can also be hosted here and automatically recover hosts and more, right? So this is what dedicated host can do. If I click the learn more here, so host resource groups in AWS License Manager. So a dedicated host, actually, that's what we wanted to go for. So that's going to be dedicated hosts. And if we go ahead, there's a scheduled instances. So scheduled instances, it's a very interesting feature that you want to dedicate, not dedicate, did I say dedicate? Scheduled instances. So suppose you want to run your two virtual machines every 3 days, per month for an year, right? For an year or 2 year. Now, what does this mean? This means that you're not gonna run your machines. You're gonna shut them down for the 27 days, but you will just power them on 3 days, maybe this last 3 days of the month, maybe middle 3 days of the month, or first 3 days of the month, but there is 3 days, or whichever, or 4 days, or 15 days, or 10 days, whatever. But you're scheduling that I'm not going to run for 27 days, so please don't charge me. But whenever, whatever days I decide here, I'm only going to run the machines on at that time, and please only charge me for that time when I power on the machine. Every month, I'm reserving 3 days, or 4 days, or 10 days, or every week 1 day, or however you want to go for that, and for how many years you want to go for, right? So that's a pretty good deal as well. And reserved instances would simply let you go ahead and reserve the instances for any amount of customized time, we can say. You just simply customize the time there, that okay, I'm going to reserve instances for that amount of time, so you can actually do that. So that's schedule reserve instances. So I'll just grab that from the other screen, the detail about that, and I'll paste it here. And then if we go down further, then this is the capacity reservation. Capacity reservation is that you want to reserve a certain amount of virtual hardware, and I may have given that example before as well, that if you want to reserve the capacity, you want to reserve a capacity for, suppose you are going for 3.5 gigahertz, 2 processors, and you want to go for 128 GB RAM there, and then you want to go for 10 terabyte disk, and you're asking AWS that please make sure that you provide me this capacity 24/7 365 for 1 year. So if AWS is not able to provide at certain time for certain hours, it's not available, suppose, so then you can ask for reimbursement as a punishment, or for breaching the SLA, service level agreement, right? So capacity reservation is just reserving your hardware for a certain amount of time. Then we go down to images, and there's AMIs. We already have actually visited the AWS marketplace, where you can just buy third-party software and operating system package, and installed inside, and then installed inside a virtual machine, and that virtual machine can run on the hardware of AWS. So this is just a third-party marketplace. And then there comes the Elastic Block Store. So what is that? Elastic Block Store is just a virtual disk, right? So when you are creating a virtual machine or EC2 instance, you must have a virtual disk with it, right? So that virtual disk is called Elastic Block Store. So it's Amazon Elastic Block Store EBS is an easy-to-use, high-performance block storage service designed for use with Amazon Elastic Compute Cloud EC2 for both throughput and transaction-intensive workloads at any scale. So, in English, what it's saying is that it's a virtual disk that is designed for scalability and performance for databases and big applications. So you can use a virtual disk with a virtual machine, and there are a variety of disks that you can choose from. So if I go back to this, let's click volume. So let's everyone together click volumes here, and when you click the volume, so there is a create volume written here. We're gonna click let's go ahead and click the create volume as well. So everyone click create volume. So once we click the create volume, so it just simply says that what kind of disk you want. So there's a GP2 or general purpose 2 SSD disk, which is general purpose just means that you want to install a file server on it, you want to install a web server on it, print server on it, antivirus on it, or any other application, general purpose, right? So general purpose GP2, when it shows, it says that it's going to charge you according to the 300 up to 3000 IOPS, input output data per second, IOPS, right? So this is basically, reads and writes. So if you're writing something here, so that's going to be writing and this is going to be reading. If you're saving something, it is writing on the disk. If you're retrieving or searching something, and it's retrieving information from files for you, so that is reading from the disk. So read write, whatever's going on, they're going to charge you for that for that disk. But it offers you 300 up to 3000 for typical server. That's enough. But if you go for GP3 here, then it goes for 3000 IOPS up to 16,000 IOPS. So this is like there are so much more people connecting and reading and writing. They're opening a lot of files and then saving a lot of files there. So in that case, GP3 is there. Then there is a provisioned IOPS SSD, and that is also, it starts from 100 but goes to 64,000 IOPS there. So that's a lot of usage of the disk. Then it goes to provisioned IOPS SSD IO2, and that also is going from 100 to 64,000, but it starts from 3000 IOPS. And cold HDD, this is IOPS is not applicable, but throughput is applicable. Throughput is that whatever data is being sent to the machine, IOPS is that the data is written on the machine, read from the machine, disk from the disk, and written on the disk, while throughput is that the data is being sent over the network to the machine. So if IOPS is fast, obviously the throughput would be fast as well, and the data processing overall will be fast. So this is just cold HDD would be simply that you would go for, so it says here 12 MB per second per terabyte baseline, but this is still, you want to save archival data or backup data. Whenever you see HDD, it's going to be slow and it's going to be cheap, right? So then there is throughput optimized. If you just want to go for throughput and sending data there, but you're not really interested in IOPS or reading and writing on the disk, then this is the disk for you. Again, that's for archive and backup. And the other type is also magnetic. The cheapest one, the slowest one, is also for rarely used data that you want to put here. So I'm going to go up to SSD GP2, and then there is availability zone, US East 1, and so it could be any of the availability zones, so no particular reason to select any one. I'm just still going for 1A for organization purpose only. And you can create a snapshot, you can create a volume out of a snapshot. What does that mean? Suppose you took a snapshot of some other existing disk, and that other existing disk had some data. Suppose you took a snapshot of a disk that had data for maybe that had ISOs of different operating systems, and you took a snapshot of that. When you want to create the snapshot, when you want to create this new volume, and you want to create this new volume from a snapshot, so whatever data was inside the snapshot will be copied to this volume as well. So if you're creating a volume out of a snapshot, so whatever data was there in the snapshot, if there is any, so that will be copied to this new volume as well. And then you can encrypt that volume as well, and other than that, you can add tags here. So overall, now guys, what will happen is that okay, are we creating a volume? Oh, yeah, I was planning to, but no, we're not. So because yes, in previously also when we created the volume, we simply deleted it, So you guys don't have to create that volume, but I will, because I need to show you some other stuff as well. So you don't have to create that. I will create that to show some other stuff. So I'm going to click that create volume here and click close. And again, you don't have to, and you can see that there is that volume showing here. Obviously it's not showing to me. I'm just kidding. Yeah, it's not showing. Why? Refresh. Oh, there you go. So once it is showing, and you don't have to create that, so it's pretty straightforward. What happens next, it's just you go to actions, and then what can we do with this volume? So this is like you've gone to a market and you've purchased a physical disk, SSD disk or HDD disk, and you then came back home and you attached it to your laptop or desktop, right? So here the volume is created, and what can you do with it? You can modify it, you can create a snapshot of it. While we don't have any data right now, you can create a snapshot lifecycle policy, which just means that you can keep taking snapshot of this. So other than that, there's a delete volume here and there's a attach volume. Now the main thing here is if you know what attach volume does. If I've selected that volume, I went to action, and then if I click the attach volume, the main point here to understand is that if you had a virtual machine, you would give the name of a virtual machine, or when you click here, and if there were virtual machines, then it would have shown you those virtual machines. So this is how easy it is to attach a volume that you create separately and attach it to an existing virtual machine. If there was one, it would have appeared here and you would have simply clicked the attach button. So I'm going to cancel out from here, and that's all the options there are. Detach volume, force data detach volume. Detach just means to detach from a virtual machine a volume. A volume is simply a virtual disk, or EBS we can say as well. Change auto enable IO setting, and add and edit tags. So these are also some of the options that we already see there for IOPS. Now this is create volume, right? If we go down under the volume, there's a snapshots, and now yes, everyone, now I want you to create the snapshot. So go ahead and click snapshot and create one. Everyone, please create a snapshot. Thank you. So I'm going to click that create snapshot here, and so when you're going for snapshot, it is asking for a volume and instance. So obviously you don't have a volume because you didn't create one, but I just want you to show that when you go down, it's gonna show you a volume which is not showing you. Then there's a description, and there's encrypted here. So the main thing here is, well, what we can do is we can just simply take a screenshot of the snapshot page that and just call it EBS snapshot. So this would be screenshot 6. EBS snapshot would be the name of the screenshot. So take a screenshot, EBS snapshot. So what happens is that first of all, I'll just create that screenshot here, and that is the screenshot 6, EBS snapshot. And so I'm gonna simply cancel out from here. Oh, screenshot 5. Oh, it's 5. Okay. Oh, it's 5. Okay. So it's 5. And so if we go ahead with, I'm just going to cancel out from here as well. You just wanted to take a screenshot. But with the snapshot, what happens is that you can create volume out of a snapshot. We already talked about that. So this option is there. If there was a snapshot, you would create a volume out of that. Manage fast snapshot restore. So fast snapshot restore just simply offers you to take a snapshot of your volume every 12 hours and then save it in a separate storage account, and you can simply restore from that snapshot that was taken 12 hours before. It could be any number of hours that you can select, and you can also select to have snapshots taken every 12 hours for next 1 year, 2 years, few months, few weeks, up to you. And then there is an image, so you can create an image out of a snapshot as well. Suppose this snapshot had a data, then you can create an image out of that, right? Then there's copy, there's modify permissions, there's add and edit tags, right? Okay, so if we go down to Lifecycle Manager here, this is all about schedule and manage the creation and deletion of EPS snapshots. So how frequently you want to create snapshots of a virtual machine or a volume. So let's click create lifecycle policy. Everyone, let's click create lifecycle policy, and I'm going to click create lifecycle policy here. Now here, EPS snapshot policy, and then there is volume. So overall, it's just saying that what do you want to create a snapshot policy for. So EPS backed AMI policy, so Amazon Machine Image snapshots you want to take, or cross account. Maybe there's another account which has some virtual machine that you want to take a snapshot of. EPS snapshot policy, and then there is volume here, there's description, target with these tags, there are tags as well that you can select, and then there is IAM role that you can select here as well. Overall, it's the frequency that we would be interested to know, that schedule 1, do you want to take a snapshot of an AMI image or a cross account, some other account virtual machine, or you want to take an image, a snapshot, continuous snapshot of volume or an instance inside this account of an image, or in another account, the volume or instance. So if we go down here, so there is schedule 1, and there, do you want to take a snapshot frequently? Frequency of the snapshot should be daily, weekly, monthly, yearly, and or custom cron expression. So suppose we stick it to daily, and then there is 12 hours here. This is what I was saying before as well, for backup, for frequent snapshot restore. So that restore happens when you create that policy, starting at what time, and then retention period type is count or age. So how many snapshots you want to take here. Suppose you say that I'm going to take 10 snapshots overall, right? And every 12 hours I'm taking that. And please store it in an AWS region here, or please store it across the region option is there as well. If I go down, fast snapshot restore, see, this is that same option that I was talking about before, fast snapshot restore. So if you save that many snapshots, it will create a storage account for you, and then you can save those snapshots there. And cross account, okay, so the one thing that I want to take a snapshot of is screenshot of is lifecycle policy. So go down to this page where you see policy schedule 1. Stay here and then take a screenshot of this schedule, and that is Snapshot Lifecycle Manager. So name this screenshot 6, which just shows policy schedule 1, and name it Snapshot Policy Snapshot Lifecycle Manager. Snapshot Lifecycle Policy. Okay. If you said Manager, it's okay. Or Snapshot Lifecycle Policy. So the screenshot 6 name will be Snapshot Lifecycle Policy. Screenshot 6 name will be Snapshot Lifecycle Policy. Snapshot Lifecycle Policy. Okay, let's go ahead. Now, so I'm going to go down here. So how frequently you want to take snapshots and then there is a policy schedule 2. If you go way down here, policy schedule 3, policy schedule 4, which means that if you've created a daily policy, you can also create a weekly policy, monthly policy, and yearly policy as well, right? So if I go further down here, there's a cancel button here. So I'm just going to simply click cancel. And then there is under Lifecycle Manager, there is network and security. So there is a security groups here written, and that security groups we have already talked about before as well. That so security groups are blocking and allowing the type of traffic, and from which public IP to which public IP it is allowed, the source and target. Elastic IPs, if you go for so elastic IPs are the IPs that can be connected, that can be configured for load balancing as well. And if I just put that detail here, an elastic IP address is a static IPv4 address designed for dynamic cloud computing. An elastic IP address is allocated to your AWS account and is yours until you release it. By using an elastic IP address, you can mask the failure of an instance or software by rapidly remapping the address to another instance in your account. So this is the statement that really tells that what elastic IP does. Suppose you have an active machine and a passive machine here, and the active machine has all the users connecting to it, and the passive machine or the standby machine is just copying whatever is happening in the active machine. So yeah, like HSRP. So the thing is that you have elastic IP here, or EIP, and that elastic IP has been given to this machine, but for some reason that the machine went down and it failed over to the passive or standby machine. So that elastic IP simply masks the failure of this machine and is remapped rapidly, or at once it is attached or mapped to the passive machine. So the end users which were connected here have no idea that the underlying machine is gone and are simply connected through this IP to the other machine. So it's not another IP to this machine that the users then have to be told and then connected, and they just connect to through this IP there to the other machine. So that's one of the main purposes of Elastic IP. But it's pretty much a public IP that you get, and you can have a pool of Elastic IPs as well. So if we go for then placement groups we already talked about, and placement groups are just for your redundancy within the region. If you want to offer redundancy within the region for your machines, then yes, you can do that. And that is placement groups, but we have talked about that in detail before as well. Then there's key pairs, and key pairs also we've talked about that. This is just an extra security. Public file is with AWS for the virtual machine that you're creating, and the private file you get to download. And when you need to show your private file that you downloaded for that machine to get to reveal the local administrator password, right? So there's a network interfaces there under that key pairs. The network interfaces is somebody not delete their interface. Getting on. Okay. So network interface is just network card that you can attach to a virtual machine as well. Let's go to create network interface here, everyone. Let's click and create a network interface here, everyone. So once you click the create network interface, you can see here that you can give a description. So you can give your first name dash network interface, right? And now, why would you want to come here? Why would you want to create that? Because suppose one virtual machine that you've created, you want to, and it has just one network card. You can connect another network card to that, or maybe 4 network cards to that to create a link teaming, right? So the link teaming, if you want to create that, then you go for multiple network cards, additional network cards. And then you would want to mention that which availability zone you want to create this network card in. The important thing to understand here is that if your virtual machine is in, suppose, subnet 1A, US East 1A, right? While you create this network card, you want to attach the network card to this virtual machine that is living in 1A availability zone. But machine is in 1A and you create the network card in 1F, right? So what will happen is that you won't be able to connect that network card to that virtual machine. You have to create the network card in that same availability zone or subnet where the virtual machine is living, right? So I'm going to click 1A here. Well, no particular reason, you can just select any other as well, but when you're connecting it to a virtual machine, you need to know which availability zone your virtual machine is living in. And if you go further down here, there's auto sign IPv4, or you wanna, if I click custom, so I can give my own private IP or public IP here, IPv4, or I'll leave it to, or I'll stick it to auto sign. And then obviously, a security group has to be attached to a virtual machine. We did that in previous lab. So there you have to connect the network card to a security group, and that's how the network card really works. And then there are optional that you can put tags there as well. So this is what we needed to know about the network card, and we can just go up here until where we see this much, create network interface and whatever you can show down here. So we're going to create screenshot number 7, AWS network EC2 network interface. So screenshot number 7 would be AWS EC2 network interface. Screenshot number 7, name would be AWS EC2 network interface. So I'll take a sample screenshot here. Screenshot 7, AWS EC2 network interface. Well, we're not going to actually create that, so we're going to just go down and cancel out from here. And if we check network interface, then there is load balancing. So now we have already done a lab on load balancers, but what are under the load balancers, you see target groups, and the target group, I'm going to click that target groups here, right? Target groups. And in the target groups, so what is the target group for? There's an info written here, right ahead of the target group. So I'm going to click the info. So searching by keywords, let you know. Okay, so target groups, it just normally shows you searching by keyword lets you know search for lets you search for a value across all of your target groups. For example, to search for any target group that has prod written in any of its properties or values, enter prod in the search field and press enter. So what happens is that you can attach a group of virtual machines into a target group. Suppose you have 5 machines that are file servers. So those 5 file servers, you can create a target group for that. You can attach this target group to a load balancer, so all the traffic could be sent to this group, or you can simply attach it into group together same type of virtual machines, so you could manage them properly. So let's click that create target group. Let's click that create target group. And so it shows instances. Are you grouping instances? Are you grouping IP addresses? Are you grouping Lambda function? Lambda function is just code that you copy paste inside Lambda, and it simply discovers what this code really needs in terms of underlying hardware, and it executes that code and arranges that hardware for that code. So you can group together any of these resources. Suppose there's instances here that you're grouping together, and then you need to just put target group name here. Suppose they are group of file servers, so file server target group. So what we can do here is we can just put our name, your first name dash target group. Your first name dash target group, and then yes, what kind of traffic is going towards that? It's HTTP, HTTPS, TCP, TLS, UDP, TCP, UDP, and Genève. Okay, and then there is VPC, which VPC inside which you want to create the target group of instances, and which protocol version is being supported by the set of machines, older or newer. And health check, if the target group is placed for a load balancer, then the health check can be configured as well. And then the tags option. So what I want to do is you can just click the you can try to drag it down to so if you go down to basic configuration on the top here until here, and then your name dash target group is showing there, so that would be our screenshot number 8, which shows the protocol, the basic configuration, instances selected. So it's AWS target groups. Name of the screenshot number 8 is AWS target groups. Name of screenshot number 8, AWS target group. So I'll go for screenshot 8. Screenshot 8 AWS target group. Okay, so if we go back to target here, I'm going to go down and cancel the target group. I'm going to go down and cancel the target group. And then there is launch configurations. So we haven't really talked about that. So I'm going to click that launch configurations here, and let's click the launch configuration. And there is that info page here for the launch configuration as well. And that info page says that the launch configuration defines an instance configuration template that an auto scaling group uses to launch EC2 instances. So we created a launch template, but there is launch configuration as well, right? The launch configuration page lists all of your launch configurations in the current AWS region. And EC2 Auto Scaling uses two types of instance configuration templates, launch configurations and launch template. So we've already used that launch template with the auto scaling group, but launch configurations can also be used with that. We recommend that you use launch templates to make sure that you're getting the latest features from Amazon EC2. For example, you must use launch templates to use dedicated hosts, which enable you to bring your eligible software licenses from vendors, including Microsoft, and use them on EC2. Well, that's what it says, that they do recommend that with auto scaling you should go for launch template. If you intend to use launch configuration with EC2 auto scaling, be aware that not all auto scaling group features are available. For example, you cannot create an auto scaling group that launches both spot and on-demand instances, or that specifies multiple instance types. So they're just saying that preferable is to go for launch template feature when you're going for auto scaling group. But here, let's click that create launch configuration just to explore what are the options that are offered there. So launch template configuration name here is there, so you can just go for your first name dash launch configuration. Your first name launch configuration. Then obviously, just like launch template, you choose an AMI image here as well, and you choose an instance type to choose the hardware. And then there is additional configuration, IAM instance profile. So, and are you launching spot instances with the help of launch configuration, and what kind of profile information you want to put there, like which department and what other information. Monitoring, you want to enable that. This was also in launch template. Then there are EBS volume details here if you want to create a volume, and security groups, yes, if you want to create that, and you want to create inbound and outbound rules. So other than that, key pair if you want to connect. So it finishes here. So launch template in fact had much more features and options than the launch configuration. Launch configuration is if you want to quickly launch something with fewer, more critical options, but launch template feature actually gives you much more options there. So we can go way up there where it says create launch configuration and take screenshot 9 for AWS launch configuration. AWS screenshot 9 AWS launch configuration. Screenshot 9, AWS launch configuration. Screenshot 9, AWS launch configuration. Okay, so yeah. Now, if we go back to this, so we can just cancel out from here. And if you go down, so yes, auto scaling groups, obviously we did the whole lab for that, so we already know that. So this is overall the EC2 dashboard that we wanted to talk about. And well, what we can do is we can delete what we created. And if we go to snapshots, did we create any snapshots? No, right? No. Actually, we didn't create anything else other than the machines which we already deleted. So you can just go ahead and upload your all screenshots now to the Blackboard, where I did not create yet the page. So I'm just going to create that window. Did I say Windows? Yeah. So week 10. Yeah, so it will be total 9 screenshots. Hey guys, so go to the week 10, 17 March and upload your screenshots, and see you next week.